Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. Here we go.
Around 6:13 p.m. on February 22nd, a man, later identified as Timothy Johnson, 37, of Washington, D.C., entered Nordstrom, located at 8075 Tyson's Corner Center. Nordstrom Asset Protection Associates observed Johnson act in a suspicious manner, saw him select designer sunglasses, and believed a larceny was about to occur. At 6:23 p.m., Nordstrom Asset Protection called our Tyson's Urban team, who responded to the store. A plainclothed officer observed Johnson in the vicinity of an anti-theft alarm at the store's interior exit when it was activated. Johnson turned and walked towards the parking garage exit. A few moments later, a plainclothed officer observed Johnson set off a second alarm as he went through it and left the store near the parking garage. Plainclothed officers followed Johnson into the parking garage and observed him go down the stairwell.
So nothing wrong with audio. It's just on buffer mode.
You set off sensors, right?
Yeah.
A uniformed and a plainclothed officer chased Johnson as he exited the parking garage stairwell, ran through the parking garage, and towards Route 7.
Got the radio. Urban 2 holding in for us. Bloomingdale Slot Lot. Black male. Going towards 7 from Fashion. He's crossing over.
Officers continued to pursue as Johnson changed direction and ran across Fashion Boulevard towards a wooded area.
Crossing over, guys. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
While following Johnson into the woodline, both officers discharged their firearms. Johnson was struck in the chest 1 time.
Going into the woods. Through the woods. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Stop reaching. Stop reaching. Shots fired. Shots fired.
Are you okay? Don't move!
God damn it. He was reaching. No. Oh my God.
Are you hit?
Are you hit?
No, I don't think so.
What happened? Hold on, wait.
Reaching.
Hold on.
Are you good?
We need an ambulance? Get him. Help him.
Officers immediately rendered aid until fire and rescue personnel arrived.
Right now, officer temporary. Hold on. What officer do across the street to a good area? Take a look. Call an ambulance. Start rescue, please. Hold on, sir. Hold on. Give us a chance.
I'm not reaching for nothing. I don't have nothing.
Hold on.
Shit, I don't have nothing. I don't have nothing. I'm shot, man. Hurry.
We got you. Whoa. Hey, we need a chest seal.
Down the road. Chest seal.
Chest seal now? Sure, what's your name? Harry? I'm gonna cover it. Okay? Let's get a chest seal. It looks like 1. Can we get some better light on this?
Yeah.
It's 2? Okay, we got you.
Knee up to me, please.
You got it.
Keep talking to me. Keep talking to me.
Here's a knee off me.
No knees on you.
What's your name, sir? Sir, what's your name?
Johnson was taken to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced deceased.
Okay, so that's it. They don't provide a whole lot of information with that. So loss prevention. There's a lot of theft that occurs across the world. A lot of thefts that occur in this nation. A lot of shoplifting. In the industry, they call it shrinkage. I forget the numbers, but there's like so many, X amount of money lost a year from just people stealing stuff. And the stealing stuff is from people who do not work there. They just come in and shoplift, and it is done by people who do work there. So your loss prevention or your asset protection specialists not only have to keep an eye on the people coming in off the street and making sure they don't steal stuff, but they also have to watch the people that they they work with, like the sales associates, or the stalkers, or whoever else is working there. They have to be watching them too, because a lot of them have stolen stuff as well. It is such a rampant problem that, of course, in the past, multiple loss prevention officers have gone to stop people, go hands-on, and of course these people fight. They fight loss prevention just like they fight the police, and people have gotten hurt, employees have gotten hurt, worker comp claims, stuff like that gone into place, shoplifters gotten hurt, and some have sued, etc. And there were some lawsuits that were successful in some places, I'm assuming. And over the years, you've seen these companies start to take away the ability for their loss prevention to actually do anything. So there's a lot of stores now, loss prevention, they don't do anything other than observe and report. Although their state law says they can do stuff, they can detain shoplifters, their company policy says something else. Don't do it or you'll be fired, basically. So there are a lot of places like this in states where loss prevention is legally allowed to do stuff, but the company won't let them do it, and so they end up creating a burden on local police. Local police have to come in and solve their problems for them when they could be solving their problems on their own. When it comes to places like that, I fully 100% believe that the chief of police, the sheriff, whoever, hell, even the county attorney, whatever, needs to tell the management of these places, look, you need to get your shit together. State law says you can have your loss prevention detain people. You need to start letting them do that. If you all refuse to do that and you expect us to come clean up your mess, it's just not going to happen. We're going to tell you to come to the station Monday through Friday, business hours, and bring your video evidence and any affidavits and file those theft reports. Not going to respond to a theft in progress when you are legally able to stop the person and get hands-on with them, but you refuse to do it. I have no problem with that, and I think that needs to be done. I think these companies need to be forced into doing their work. Loss prevention in many states can detain shoplifters. They need to be detaining them, getting the information, taking all that information, and either calling the police and have the police come pick them up and arrest them, or if they can, take that information to the county attorney's office and have the county attorney draw up an arrest warrant, and then that person be arrested after that point. Ideally, what I think would be the best thing to happen is just allow those loss prevention officers to not just detain the shoplifters, but also allow them to have the ability to fill out a citation and go lodge the damn person in the jail themselves. That way you can take out that problem of police having to spend an absorbent amount of man hours with shoplifters. When you look at the amount of man hours that police spend on these calls, it's a lot. There was a Walmart somewhere in, I want to say it was somewhere in Georgia, like around Atlanta. They had so many damn shoplifting calls for service that the police were basically forced to have to create a position where an officer just kind of stayed in that area, and that's all they messed with was freaking shoplifting incidents at the local Walmart. That's how many freaking calls they generated there. That to me is a nuisance property. If you've got that many problems, that means you're not doing shit on your own end to stop the problem. And so when it comes to nuisance properties, I definitely believe that municipalities should be able to fine nuisance properties and shut them down for business. If you don't want to get your shit together, you don't want to be a contributing member of society and try and take care of some of these problematic people and just think you're going to push it all off on the local police, there needs to be another thing coming. Those places need to be shut down and hit in the pocketbooks to where they come to the realization, oh, well, I guess I better be responsible and start doing shit on my own or else not making any money. Anyway, enough of that rant. So the loss prevention person's watching this dude on camera, and then he makes a notification to their police that are in that area. So they mentioned it's a couple of plainclothes officers. I don't know what the makeup here is as far as like how they do all that. It could be that the store is hiring these officers to work off duty, and they're working in an off-duty capacity. They have some police powers, and I think that's possibly what's going on, because they did not seem to have any pep in their step when the guy was walking away and they were trying to catch up to him. They weren't even trying to catch up to him. They were just following at a distance. It was either that or they're waiting for the uniformed officer to show up so that it was more abundantly clear that it is an actual police officer that's dealing with them. And just the sight alone of an actual police officer can deter people from doing stupid stuff. Whereas if someone's in plain clothes, they may consider them to be just loss prevention, and they know that loss prevention's at a bit of a disadvantage, so to speak, because corporate doesn't allow them to do much. They could have also been in a paid, city police capacity there, and that's just overtime for them. Sometimes some municipalities will allow private entities to hire police on a extra duty basis, and they'll pay for extra police services, someone to be assigned to them, and they pay the full rate, the overtime rate for that officer to that city or county or whatever, and then they of course furnish a on-duty police officer to them. Don't know, like I said, don't know what the makeup with that system is there with them, but I did find it peculiar that the plainclothes guys didn't really do much. They didn't really have a whole lot of, like I said, pep in their step going after this guy. I don't know why my thing is frozen. The uniformed officer finally shows up there, and they go chasing him. He gets in this wood line. The officer, you hear him mentioning something about the guy was reaching, and then you hear shots fired. Or you hear him mention about reaching before or after you hear the shots fired. So it's plausible, because they haven't provided a whole lot of detailed information. It's plausible that the guy didn't even have a gun, but he was just reaching down in his waistband, and it appeared as though he could have been going for a gun. Low light conditions. The guy has committed crimes. He's running from police. You have to take into the account the current landscape of what's going on. There is more violence against police right now. It would be to a reasonable person to believe that this guy reaching into his waistband is reaching for a gun. Like, why else would you reach into your waistband? Like, is he checking to make sure that his penis is still there? Like, that makes no fucking sense. Is he going to whip it out and rub one out? That makes no sense. Like, what is he reaching for? A logical, reasonable-minded person would believe that this guy's going for a gun. And if that was the case, he didn't have a gun, but he was just reaching, and the officer believed that he was reaching for a gun, then that officer was correct to think that way. And that officer was correct to act the way he did. Generally, action beats reaction. And if they had waited for the guy to pull a gun out before using force, then that guy could have got his gun out and put rounds at the police before they could have returned fire. And he could have got good lucky hits on them because of that. So it's not fair to allow the bad guys to always make that first move. But unfortunately, that's the way it plays out many times. The bad guys get to make that first move. The police are always acting in a throttled manner. They're always throttled. They only elevate that force when that other person raises that force. The police have to act at a lower level of force and only use the same amount of force or the amount of force necessary to affect that rest or to protect themselves or others. They can't just go from 0 to 100 without justification. There has to be a reasoning there for it. And when that reasoning occurs, it gets to be conducted first by the bad guys. So they have that advantage in a lot of ways. And when this guy's reaching into his waistband and they've been chasing him and they've been giving him verbal commands to stop and they're saying, show me your hands, all that, and he's still reaching into his waistband, that's the moment where you say, I'm not going to wait for this guy to pull a fucking gun out and shoot me. That's ludicrous. If anyone thinks that the police should be doing that, they're insane. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, chances are it's probably a duck. But you know what? It may be wrong. It may not be a duck. But in this instance, where seconds count, and it could be it could mean the difference between dying and staying alive, they have to act. They cannot wait to see what the hell it was this guy's reaching for. This guy brought it upon himself. He was, 1, out there stealing stuff, and then 2, running from the police, and then 3, acting completely stupid and not following in any directions. He got himself shot. But I have no idea if the guy did not have a gun or not. He may have had a gun, they just may not have mentioned it. I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot of detailed information given in this video. Don't know what kind of gun the officer has. Whenever he's pointing at the guy, we don't see any light coming on. The only light we see is from this guy and some other people. So I have no idea if this officer has a weapon-mounted light or not on his gun. It is my opinion that all guns, all fighting guns, need to have weapon-mounted lights. Even if you predominantly work during the day, you still need to have a weapon-mounted light. When this guy fires and he goes down, we don't see any light activate. Doesn't mean he doesn't have one. It just means that he may not be thinking about utilizing it, because the only time he's ever practiced with it was maybe once or twice, and that could have been it. Or he just doesn't train regularly with it or practice with it regularly or something. Or batteries could have been dead because he has not kept on top of making sure he's got fresh batteries in the weapon-mounted light. Multitude of reasons of why the light didn't come on, and one of those reasons could be didn't have a light to begin with. A lot of agencies are cash strapped, they don't have big budgets, and it may be difficult for them to afford weapon-mounted lights for everybody, because once you get a weapon-mounted light for a gun, then you have to change the holster that you've got. You have to get a new holster for that damn gun and light, and they're not a universal fit. Like, you have to get a holster that is built specifically for that model gun and for that model of light in order for it to fit in there correctly. So that could be a very costly thing for agencies when you consider that the holster is about $100 to $140 a pop. The weapon-mounted light is around $300 a pop. Times how many officers you've got, that's a lot of money. And so a lot of agencies may not have that funding for it. Just like many other things, if an agency does not have funding for it, but it is a life safety piece of equipment, that's something that you need to be getting on your own. You should not wait for your agency or your company to provide it for you, because they may never provide it to you because they don't have the means to be able to do it. So that means saving some money and buying good life safety equipment. That means not going to Starbucks for a while. That means cutting back on your fast food for a while. That means, stop buying so many Cokes and stuff for a while. There are little creature comforts that you spend a ton of money on that you can cut back on and save money to get life safety equipment. So no good excuse for why you don't have life safety equipment. Ultimately, the responsibility falls to you, and if you're not upholding that responsibility, then you're being negligent to yourself. All right, that's it. Nothing else to talk about. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.